As usual, it's been a while since we've done a Get Inspired, but we're going to do the interview. And at the end, we're going to leave some time for Q&A. So if you have any questions for Jack, also just during the interview, feel free to pop them in the chat so we can see them and capture them for when we do our questions. And at the end, we're just going to launch a quick poll. It takes just a few minutes to help us kind of better understand how the event helped you and just to share some information with us. So let's get started. How are you, Jack?
Good, doing great.
Good, it's nice to
great
see
to
you.
Be here as well, yeah.
Yes, we always love having you. It's really great. I'm really excited about today's interview because I feel like we did our pre-interview last week, and I feel like there's so many things that we're going to talk about today that are not talked about a lot in entrepreneurship and in business. So we're just going to dive right in. So you've been with us already before you did the Ask the Experts session, but can you tell us a little bit about the businesses that you have? Business is, because I know it's growing.
Yeah.
And tell us also just why you started those businesses, like what inspired you to become an entrepreneur and start those?
Yeah, actually, it's hard to tell how and why did we start many things in our lives. It's a combination of a lot of reasons. But let me introduce first the first identity that I started was Beirut in Lebanon. Beirut in was a result of passion that I couldn't involve maybe in many jobs that I got. And one of the other reasons was the injustice that we see in the organizations and the companies, not necessarily with myself, but with the colleagues that I had, people who had families. So I said there must be another way to do business. So I started Beirut In with the aim to have a quick, business that can start generating revenue and growing the team. It wasn't that easy way. So it was for so long a very small team. And then suddenly I started changing the way how we are going to the basics. Why did I started the business in the first point? And then a few years later, because Beirut In was a local company, I didn't think much about the name. It was just something cool, and I did it. It was 2010. And then a few years later, I lived a couple of months in Australia. So I said, why can't we do Sydney In? Because I was living in Sydney. Mm-hmm. And then, and it was so on. The idea was to create many cities. But, because entrepreneurship, it's an ups and down journey. So then I registered another business with all the metaverse and cryptocurrency. I called it Brain Digits to make it more, as an identity appealing for this field. So I wasn't so maybe right with my identity strategy, but I made it, I made it right maybe because of the opportunities that you can find. I mean, sometimes you take a decision and later on you try to see what opportunities you can get from all these decisions. So this is entrepreneurship in general. It's not a static plan that you do and yet just follow. So mainly these three identities are a big part of me, of myself and my daily life.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I feel like we often get caught up in like this idea of perfection when it comes to our business, and whether it's our brand or our marketing or whatever that is. And it is a constant work in progress. We're constantly, it's like, I always say that entrepreneurship is like lifelong university. We're just constantly learning and growing and making things better. So I love that. I also think it's a good reminder to be a little bit easier on ourselves, because we can be really hard on ourselves when we're not reaching immediately the goals that we want to be reaching,
True.
So clearly from all the times I've spoken to you, human beings are really important to you. And, essentially that's kind of what inspired you to start this journey of entrepreneurship. And I know that you also do some work with the UN with human rights, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Did that happen before or after you started your business?
Well, the United Nations work was a result of Okay, I cannot split my journey from my childhood where I was in the Scouts and I started to take responsibilities very quickly, and that raised some questions. What do I need to do? Why am I getting all the responsibilities while I was 12 and 13 years old in the Scouts, and then a youth group, and then again I established an NGO, and I was very young. I realized that there's something wrong with the word for me, with my word, with my environment, my local community. So I started doing a lot of steps in education, lobbying, maybe with friends, with organizations, with scouts, to do new stuff, to change what the situation is. So this is what led me actually at the end to understand that the word isn't problem. And it's not enough to just focus on business and economy and leadership. It's also related to the power, to the political part, to the human rights, to the legislations. So it's in maybe all-in-one package that we need to focus on, and that was my decision to get involved in the United Nations work, especially with minorities and indigenous people, because these are the most vulnerable communities in the UN system. So the human part was actually all of this, was dealing with scouts, with people, with younger people. Even I was very young, I had to lead younger people. And then again, within my school, within everywhere I tried to get involved, I felt that the human part is the most important part. It was how you deal with people that you can make achievements. It's not about how resources you have and what is the situation and what problems you have, because I saw a lot of miracles happening when people get to work together in a genuine way and not in a hierarchy. I hate hierarchies, by the way. It is something that I feel we really need to change from all the vertical thing to horizontal and vertical. And somehow when you know why and how you're doing things, you do amazing stuff together. Now we can see organizations, especially after the pandemic, trying to spy on their employees to see if they are working properly or not, installing those softwares to know what their productivity is, while you can definitely get them involved and integrate them in your vision, and then they will be working more than you're doing for the business and for the vision. And I've seen that. I tested it. I enjoyed testing it, but I was afraid, because all what we learn at the university and from your partners, from your auditor, from whatever, you go on Google and see those plans that you need to follow as a template, and it's all wrong. There's no template for business. It's up to you. It's regarding your personality and your team personality. It's a match thing that you need to work on, and it's a journey. It's not a final thing that you find. So that was the part where I decided to focus on humans, on characters, on channels that you can build, or bridges that you can build between you and your team and everyone, even people that you count enemies. You can build some bridges and change the whole story.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And yeah, I think, in business, even so, what you were talking about, what happens in business, and this idea of like spying on their employees, which I think is completely insane. I talk a lot about like left brain, right brain stuff, and that's very like left brain, it's like the details, the analytics, the results. And I think that there's a lot of value. My sense is that you work a lot in your right brain, more in like the creative, human, empathetic side of things. And I definitely think we need more of that in business to just balance things out. So I'm curious, because the last time we spoke, so you have different businesses and they're all kind of similar, like in the same field, but they're doing a little bit different things. But you were mentioning that the core values are the same in all of them. Can you tell us a little bit about your core values for your businesses?
Yeah, actually, mainly the main values that I love to focus on any kind of business, and even on businesses that I don't, I manage a couple of businesses that I don't own, but I'm a partner or somehow I'm a consultant. it's all the same. Like the core value is um, to inspire people and make everyone engaged. And that is sometimes confusing for some team members because they think that why are you trying to bring my own ideas to the front? It should be a strategy for the business. And this is, by the way, a conflict that I always have, a conflict that I have with my auditor and my business consultant. I mean, they keep saying that you should have your own strategy and not always be asking the team. So then I said, I wouldn't enjoy my business if I follow a static strategy that is not constantly changing, because people are constantly changing. Our bodies are a block of energy that is constantly changing. So you cannot just put a static strategy and follow on. I know this is dangerous for for all the businesses if you're not clear, but it's not about, it's not about the strategy, it's about the goal. You can set a goal and then play with your strategy according to your team, because your team is the best resource that you can have, is the best asset. And this is not like just the stereotype that we used to use, it's the best asset. It's because their ideas, when they bring it, when they speak up, you get a lot of brainstorming environment. And the most important thing, that they are involved in the strategy, and this is the problem that we have on a national level, on a government level. We are not involved in the decision making. This is why all the clashes, all the revolutions are happening. And this is on a smaller level, on a company level. The main value is to include people, is to include the team in all the problems and all the success that you have and all the challenges that you have. Not only the success, not only the problems, not only the struggle that they should carry during their journey, but all of it. I believe this is the kind of partnership that we need to do in the businesses, organizations, governments, because we're losing a lot of trust between people. And we can see now all the discrimination, acts and movements are rising again.
Yeah. And it's interesting because actually not involving your team or people around you puts more pressure on the business owner, because that means that then you have to have all the answers. You have to be leading everything all the time. And our team, they actually have a perspective. They get to see things that we don't, because it's like when you have your head in something, you can't always see all the details. We all have blind spots. So I think team members are really great at helping business owners see blind spots when we give them the space to do that and trust them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is really exciting. So clearly you don't like to follow traditional paths and rules, which I love. And I think that's one of the reasons why just your success and your thriving. Can you tell us a little bit about how you spoke about this last time, about how, like, pretty much from the beginning, you chose to do things your way, like not how you were told or how we're supposed to do things in business, but you really honored what made sense for you. Can you tell us just how that has impacted the growth of your business, doing things your way and trusting what you know to be right for you and your path?
Yeah, it is very important to know that there's no other way to do that if you're choosing to go with the traditional way when you are an entrepreneur. Because when I started, it was easy for me to say that I cannot start because I don't have budget to start. I don't have any income. And I was originally, I didn't have any resources to start. I'm from a poor family that I had to pay rent. I had to pay for food on behalf of my family. And I had to go to the university and at the same time get 2 jobs. It was really struggling. So when I decided to start my business, it was a big risk. So I wouldn't see it like doing it the way that you need to find an investment and then try to do it not the right way, but the traditional template that you start a business. And I believe that every successful entrepreneur has his or her way of doing business. Otherwise they wouldn't succeed, because you need a lot of resources. You need a lot of people to start a business in a traditional way. Sorry for saying traditional. Most of the businesses are being creative now, even if they are not startups or entrepreneurs. But you know what I mean. It's you have to feel, you have to understand, and you have to accept what is coming from your inside, to what your instinct, what you believe in, so you can proceed and you can enjoy the journey. Otherwise, you stop from the first year. And this is what's happening, by the way, with many people who are trying to start a business, copying other businesses. And this is very dangerous if you don't have the resources, if you're not just investing in a business, but you're starting a new idea. So that was the main factor. Although I didn't see that, by the way, by that time, I just followed my heart, my emotional intelligence. I don't know what is it, but I just followed it, and it was dangerous. I stopped going to my job. I quit my job for 4 months without any salary, without any income. And then I was planning for my business, but at the same time doing some freelance work, at the same time trying to find another job, because you're not so sure that you want to stop looking for the job. I was looking for a job for 3 years later. It wasn't like, okay, it's final, I don't want to get a job anymore. So yeah, it's a lot of struggle and conflicts of ideas in your mind. So doing it your way is the best thing to do it.
Yeah. And also, if we look at like the left brain, right brain piece of this, if you're staying in like a more traditional route and taking action just based on like what has already been done or what is known, you don't access that more creative side of you, which is the side of us as entrepreneurs that allows us to find solutions to make more money, to find solutions to support our business venture, to think about creative ways to connect with new people. And I know that you are really great at creating opportunities for yourself and others. I know that you're really inspired to create opportunities for others. And you mentioned last time that like all of the skills that you have today come from you saying yes to opportunities. Even if you didn't feel like an expert in that area yet, like you really stretched yourself to learn, and that ended up creating a lot of opportunities for you. Can you speak a little bit to that and maybe give a couple of examples of some moments where you said yes and it felt scary?
Yeah,
But
this is a very, very interesting part, because I keep meeting people who keep saying that no, I shouldn't be doing that, or I shouldn't be working for free while, even if I'm still at the university or whatever. I believe that yes is the key for learning always new stuff. Yeah, never say no for any opportunity, even if it's not, if you feel that it doesn't belong to you or your skills. Every opportunity can teach you something. I mean, even if you fail doing it, like I said yes for many things that maybe I felt like failing, but then it was an opportunity to work harder to make it happen. So yeah, as an example, when I started, when I was at the university and I needed money and I needed to be independent somehow, I went to that copy center that was very known copy center. They have graphic designers. I loved graphic design, but I was an amateur, working with Photoshop by that time and Corridor and all this stuff just at home to play. And then I saw that vacancy and I went and applied to it. And in the interview, they asked me if you know Photoshop. I said, yes, I know very well Photoshop. And it was just an amateur skill. And then they asked me if I know AutoCAD. AutoCAD is for architectures, what is Auto? I just know that it's for architecture, but I never opened AutoCAD. And then they said, if you're a beginner, then fine, you can learn, because we have a daily work with that software. So I said yes. And the next day I was hired because I was very, convincing with all the details that I had. And then from the first week, I learned all the stuff, and no one knew that I didn't know about this, because I went back home every day and I tried hard to work with that software, because it wasn't the target to learn the software. It was to get the job and do anything that I can face. That was the key, I think, and that helped me so much in starting the business, because when you have a lot of skills, you know, as an entrepreneur, you're working in 10, 12 positions instead of bringing a team. So that helped me, you know, working as a graphic designer, as a developer, as a photographer. I used to do everything, and especially in copy centers, you know, you do everything. So it was a great opportunity to me to learn. And then again, next job was in PHP coding. Although I'm a business computing graduate, but I never get code in the university. But I said, yes, I can do it. And again, I did it again. And it was so on. It became my addiction, you know, to find new opportunities that I have no clue what is it. And then find out, discover, and excel in it is very important. Not to say yes and not follow, you know, all the details. Yeah, that is very important, to keep saying yes for opportunities. And you can fail, you know, failure is the best part of the process.
I think that's where you learn. If you're not failing, you're not, there's no opportunity to learn. And there's a quote that I really love from a book I read, probably one of my favorite business books, which is called Louder Than Words by Todd Henry. And he mentions in the book that the only way that we can like enhance our expertise or move up to the next level in our business is by placing ourselves temporarily somewhere where we're going to feel mediocre. The only way to grow. It's the only way to reach that next step.
Agree? Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't give themselves permission to do that because it feels scary to be mediocre. And that can be with marketing, with networking. Like we all have an area where we need like a growth area, right? And I think it's really important to remember in business that we need to stretch ourselves, even if we're uncomfortable, you know, meeting new people and talking with people after a few times. Like you said, if we're really, if we're all in, we can learn something really, really quickly if we put our heart and mind into it. So yeah, I love that. Okay, so let's segue into a little bit about you were talking about like the key in business is to really get to know your unique skills and what you're really good at. And I think part of this is what you just said, is like just trying things and, you know, creating opportunities for yourself. But can you tell us a little bit more about maybe what helped you really define what your skills were, and then how you use them now in your business? Like, are you still doing all of the things, or did you at some point kind of focus your energy more on your unique skills?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for asking that. It's actually a bit emotional to me when I sit and do brainstorming for an identity or a graphic design, or do it by, you know, by myself, like do the branding identity for a business or for one of our businesses for rebranding. It's, you know, that time where I put music and a glass of wine and work, because it's kind of bring all the memories, you know, together, how I started, because it was those skills that shaped my journey. And yes, I still do it. I sometimes enjoy doing it, and sometimes I feel like, yeah, every day I do it when I sit with a team, because, you know, one of the most important programs in our companies are the internship program, that we love to share experience with others, especially that the bad experience that we had with our own internships when we were at the university. It was, you know, like you feel at the workspace that you don't belong there, and no one wants to teach you anything, and, you know, all this negative environment has led me and my team to create a kind of internship program where people can really feel, you know, engaged and involved, and they can learn a lot, like even more more than the university. And it is getting a lot of great feedback. And it's in that program, I always feel like I really need to share all my experience with the team. I mean, especially people who are freshly starting their journey. I feel like, you know, it was a mission that I had to do when I started this way, especially when I'm in environments and countries that are, you know, people are struggling there. example, Lebanon, and Lebanon has always crisis. And when I see people, struggling with their families, with their, when their families invest a lot of money to send them to universities, it is really struggling when they finish the university and they don't find a job. For me, it's not about the environment, but I learned it the hard way, and I'm so happy that I learned it. But it is not fair at the end. It is not fair that you finish your university and then the whole economy is collapsing, and you
Yeah.
can't even get the minimum salary that you deserve. So this is when I feel that all the skills are still something very important to be still using, because I work with all the team, with all the team members. I love to share my experience. And whenever I use it with businesses, actually, I enjoy more when I'm sharing the experience with my team more than doing business with those skills. I don't really care about profit and getting more clients from the profit part. I care about getting more clients just to network more and know more people, and that's my currency, by the way.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about that because you were talking last time about how profit is a natural result if you're putting your intentions in the right place. And I think a lot of us are really stuck on like this trying to make a profit or bringing in more money, obviously, because it's kind of a natural thing, right? Because as human beings, we need money to survive, and so that's where our first focus goes. But there is magic that happens when you put your focus on essentially, I think, what you're most passionate about. For you, you're really passionate about people and creating opportunities. But I think for every entrepreneur, if they really just like zone in onto what they're really passionate about and put their energy into that, it creates growth and opportunity and profit. So I really love that you mentioned that. Can you tell us a little bit about one or more, it can be more than one, but the strategies that have been the most successful for you in growing your business? I think I know the answer, but I'm still going to let you share a little bit about, for some, again, because I agree that entrepreneurship, if there's not one straight path, digital marketing might work really great for one company and networking might work really great for another. So what have been the strategies that have worked the best for you in your business?
Yeah. Okay. Let me just split between two things, because people starting their businesses are always feel like confused. Where do we start? From a technical perspective, yeah, digital marketing was amazing, but focusing on maybe on specific parts, like starting a strategy on a budget because you don't have that budget to invest in ads. So focusing on mixing between the client feedback and client happiness, and project that happiness and that feedback on digital marketing, and not just go with your, I don't know, ads. So that was a great strategy to do, to get new clients somehow, like very few clients that you get in the beginning, to focus on those clients, to make them feel like, I still remember the first clients. It was so important to me, learning about them, feeling like I'm part of their I'm part of I'm part of their business, I'm part of their team, and not they are not clients, they are partners. That was very important. And guess what? These clients are still there, like 12 years later, they are still there on a personal level, on a company level. So focus on the first steps on clients as they are partners, as you are part of their team, and not like they are in, turnover record. So that was one strategy to follow in the beginning. But talking about strategies, it's actually 4 or 5 years before. I mean, the focus was more on bringing more clients, maybe in a way that you focus on the word of mouth. Whenever you make success stories with clients, they bring you more clients. That was amazing. And guess what? Like for 10 years, I don't really remember that campaign that brought a lot of clients. We never did campaigns with the goal to get more clients. all our campaigns were to project our creativity, to project our team, to make sure that everyone who is going to our profiles can know who they are dealing with, because trust is essential in business. And then one more thing is to mention, like 2 years ago or 2 years and a half after the crisis, the economic crisis, and then the pandemic, it was focusing on the team, focus on the team, and the team can bring all the business to you and not just take care of the clients. I
Yeah.
mean, I have people who left the team 2 years ago, and they left the country, and they are still bringing clients to the team, to the company, because they were involved. They felt they still feel that they are part of this. They still feel that, yes, this is them. Beirut is them. Beirut Digits is them. It's their own identity. Although they work for other companies, I mean, different. It's not a competition, not competitor companies. Definitely, it's not ethical. But they share all what they can share if it's not part of their current job. And then guess what? Like 80% of people who leave Beirut and Brain Digits start their own business, by the way, and start their own journey. I keep saying something, although it's dangerous for businesses. Employment is it's like there's a thin line between employment and slavery. I feel that, employment as the traditional way, all the working hours, all the pressure that we put on the team, and we don't include the team with the vision, at least with the decision making, and then with the equities, that for me is a kind of slavery. So even if I'm going way far with this terminology, but all the team feel like inspired when we deal like partners and not like the traditional employee. Of course, we need to reshape how we define employees. Like, the terminology is not the problem. The employee is an employee, as a part of the team, but the
Yeah.
way we are dealing with employees. So after focusing on the team, on the mental health, on the environment of the team, we had clients that worked with us just because of this environment. They said that we want to be part of this positive environment that we feel, from the meeting, from the calls that we have. It was amazing. Some team members got calls from the clients, from some new clients, to work separately or freelancing. So they simply say that, we are part of the team. We cannot do that. And this is, in this like era, you can't see this very often. I mean, if you can do a copywriting separately, take that separate project, you do it, in many businesses. But no, instead they bring it to the team, even if the reference was the team member, not the company.
Yeah, I love that. And it comes back again to whether it's with clients or team members, to not make anybody be a transaction, because a team member can become a transaction also, if it's just about like paying to get like hour per pay kind of thing. And when you create a partnership, it creates like a long lasting, sustainable relationship. And that's essentially what creates, we talk a lot in ecomConnect about like building a network. And this is what builds a network. It's like trusting. And also, it like, as a business owner, if you can relax into trusting the people around you, again, so much can happen, because then people feel that space that you're holding for them with trust, and then they're more creative and more inspired and more excited. So I wish I would have worked for you when I was younger. I feel like my whole life experience would have been so much different, because I think a lot of us have those very rigid experiences when we're working for other companies. I'm just checking the chat here. Okay, so let me just see where I was at with my questions. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Okay, yes, there's two more things I would love for us to dig into. One is, I know you're very creative when it comes to visibility, right? And I know that you really love to partner with people and just share your expertise and be part of things without, again, always thinking about the money in return or the profit. Can you just speak a little bit to that, and how you maybe how you decide what opportunities you say yes to and no to? Like, I know you were talking about like running for election lately, which was like a creative idea that came from your team, right? Probably something you would have never thought about. Again, it's another beautiful example of how our team can help us find some solutions. So I'd love to hear a bit about that.
Yeah, actually, for the opportunities, it's very important to know your not boundaries, but to know what do you want to, what do you want to do in life in general, because sometimes you get opportunities that might take you the wrong way. So it's important to take that opportunity, but to know when to stop. And this is one thing that you face very often, especially when you have a small team. I mean, even a business, when you have a small team and you're very good at something, you try to get that opportunity to learn from it. But if you feel that this is not the way you want your business going, especially with your team will get exhausted, so this is important for you to know as a leader. And this is where personal leadership comes, is people usually love to follow leaders, especially positive leaders, when you are in the professional field. Um, and positive leaders has this role to know what is right, to feel what is right, not only know, and
Yeah.
then follow, and then make it happen no matter what. Because not everything looks like it's right from the beginning. Sometimes you feel that it's the wrong way, but you have to do it. So these are the opportunities to take it or not. I think that is so related to your feelings and at the same time your logic. So it's part of your emotional intelligence. And yes, including the team would really help you when you include them in the decision. It's really important to get all the details the right way, because we see a lot of teams, like when I do governance consultancy in the government or in the businesses or organizations, I see many people like answering questions or bringing the ideas that the team leader or the boss might, accept it or not. So they think, what is the answer? What would be the answer of my boss on that? So accordingly, I provide my idea. And this is dangerous. For me, it's dangerous. It's not just wrong, because you're not getting benefit from the capacities that you have. The mind has a lot of capacities, and we don't know the capacity yet. I mean, all the researchers and scientists try to find what is the capacity of the mind, and they still cannot know all the capacity. We can know what is the capacity by pushing the limits. So when we give the space for our team to bring those opportunities, to bring all the ideas, then I would have a lot of options, a lot of ideas to recalculate and put in the right way or in a strategy, because I can see the whole picture as a leader. So this is very important. And yes, as a result, because we were pushing for the public awareness, because people are struggling, and every time we find a solution, the team is involved in that solution. So one of the ideas was, why don't we run for elections, so we have a big exposure and bring all these ideas to the leaders, to the political parties, and to everyone, because you will have more exposure, and then you will be doing the job really quickly, with all the danger, on my identity with going the elections. And yeah, actually, we were talking last time, me and you, about education. And
Yeah.
guess what? I had a meeting with my little kid school. All the schools in Lebanon are struggling. So
Yeah.
I said, okay, we have problems and there should be opportunities. So why don't I have a meeting with the principal of the school, so I can just chat with her to see what opportunities do we have. So I went there and told her, I know that you have problems. They sent an email that they have problems, financial problems, the environment, whatsoever. And she started telling those problems. And then suddenly every problem was equal an opportunity. So in the
Mm.
beginning, she was negative because of the environment in Lebanon. And then suddenly she started following me with the same channel of finding opportunities. And then she started like finding, a lot of ideas. And
Yeah.
then we decided to launch an education platform to launch online education and character building within the school. And it was amazing. And it was from one meeting. The team was not, believing that from the first meeting with a traditional school, with someone who never went out of the box, you were able to convince them. It was not convincing. It was just bringing the ideas out of their experience,
Yeah. That's incredible. It's incredible. And it's such a good reminder that I love what you said about there's always opportunities in a problem. And actually, it's kind of the same concept as failing, right? Like
Mhm.
that's where like the magic is in the failures. And I think again, that's where the magic is in the problems we face. So um, I love that. That's super, super inspiring. Um, okay, so let's talk about your team a little bit more because I know like there's so many people who would love to have a team, right? Obviously, when you have a team, you can leverage your business and your skills and your impact so much more. Um, Hiring a team is not always easy. We actually have a session coming up on that next week, which is going to be really great. But I would love to know kind of how did you get started hiring a team? How did that look? Like, did you wait to be in a really comfortable financial position, or did you have other creative ways of starting to build your team? How did that look?
Yeah, in the beginning it was very hard because I had to spend all the income that I have or the profit that I was having in the beginning on getting people to help me, not in with the aim to help me because I was fine. I was able to do the job by myself with the aim to grow, you know? And I didn't go because of that. I didn't grow the team because of that, but it was a part of the process that everyone was doing. All the businesses do that. So I have to do that. And it was a misconception because my advice to everyone, to anyone who's starting to build their own team, is not to follow again the same strategy or the same plan that everyone is doing. So hiring people and wasting your resources on bringing people with the aim to grow is not the answer. It was actually focusing more on what I mentioned before, focusing on the clients, focusing on your identity, maybe focusing on your and I don't mean by identity the logo and fonts and all these stuff only. It is how you speak to people, and whenever they want to someone creative, they remember your name. Whenever they need someone committed, they remember your name. Whenever they think about trust, because trust with businesses is really something, they remember your name. So this is what you build with clients. I saw clients in some meetings because they loved what we discussed. They were calling their friends. Do you want the website? They were working sales in front of me, and they were just clients, that I met in like 30 minutes, in just 30 minutes. So it was amazing. So reflecting those values was the key to grow. And then the team can grow, like a step by step. It's not easy, but there's some place, knowing your strength is essential. So
Yeah.
people coming to our business and starting with us were people who want to learn from us, who want to learn these values, and they were fine getting a low salary, maybe, were fine not having long commitments, they were fine not having the best contract of their life, but they wanted to learn something from this. And this was, I think, the key. One advice that I can tell now after all this experience: small businesses and startups can bring like-minded people as interns in the first couple of months, and then they can share profit with them, and they share equities, and they share experience. It's never about money. We say that we need salaries, but it's not just salary is just 20% of what we want from any job, even if we don't admit it. But it's many things. So create the positive environment, do some stuff, go out with your team, do everything that makes people happy, and then pay whatever you can pay in the beginning, and then you can definitely grow. It's not that as easy as I say it, but it is the best solution to do. I mean, it worked very well with me. And if I knew what I knew now, what I know now, it would be like much faster to go in the like 10 years ago.
Yeah. But it's great because now you can share it with everybody and then they can grow much faster.
Exactly.
I love it. Amazing. Yes, Maheshwar is saying great insights, Jack. Um, okay, well, let's open up the floor and see if we have some questions. I would love for people to just join into the conversation with us. And so if you guys have any questions for Jack or anything you would like for him to expand on, you can either put your question in the chat or just unmute yourself and we can just have an open conversation. Let me just just get my full view here so I can see if we have some people unmuted. I'm just going to go through the chat also to see if I missed anything, because I didn't see the chat while we were speaking. Oh, I don't think we have any questions in the chat yet.
Yeah, actually, in the chat, I can see a couple of members who mentioned there's maybe businesses or small businesses, or some have personal businesses. I would love to say here that if you are running a business that needs one person only, remember that it can only also grow. Like sometimes you have a consultancy, for example, services. And then I see many people deciding not to go because they feel that, yeah, this is their, the only way that we can do that. But I would really recommend that you go to many international, maybe consultants that you can see now. They all have teams, and do not compare yourself with people who've been like for 10 years promoting and having big teams. But again, think like you are a business. Like a business, it's not necessarily a traditional business. It could be your name, a business. So yeah, never compare yourself to anybody. It's your own journey. You have all the unique skills that you have that maybe the one you're comparing with your profile with doesn't really have these skills. So try to find those skills and also try to grow. You can bring maybe a copywriter to write articles for your blog and save time to do other stuff. Even if you're a consultant, you can bring someone to maybe improve your website or do some social media or whatever. That would be a great step to do as well. You don't need to bring a team and make a company sometimes because you're a solopreneur. But again, getting help and getting a team is really something that can change your whole life and your business.
I agree. I totally agree. And I've often heard also, and I kind of agree with this, and it comes back again to like this belief of like removing the hierarchy piece. I've often heard in business that we should hire people who are smarter than us, or do things like do what we do, but better than us in a sense, because then it helps us. Yeah, it really helps us grow and see things that we can't see. So I love that. We have some
comments. Exactly.
Wisal says, thank you, Jack. Insightful, especially the like-minded people. Totally agree. Augustina, hi. Oh, do we have someone unmuted? Oh, I thought I heard someone. Augustina says, hi, my question is about your path in the US Department of Professional Fellow. Can I ask about that too?
Yeah, sure. Actually, it is a program about economic empowerment. I was, hungry to make a change on a national and regional and international level. And I felt that all the experience was just focusing on maybe my team and my business. And as I said before, having profit only as a business profit was not my thing. So I wanted to really make a change. And that was one way to do it. And it was very hard because I had to go for 6 months to the States and do it on site, but I couldn't do that because of the pandemic. We did it remotely on a virtual, 6 months of virtual work to do a project and to do all the trainings that you need to do and work with a host company in the States. That was something really, it was a great experience. It was like you getting connected with many fellows, trying to accomplish that, change that you want to make. And this is amazing. Reaching out to similar networks would be amazing if you are willing to change and not just focus on your business and profit. Because again, it would be a business opportunity. It's everything, all the networking that you can do is a business opportunity. Yeah. And, when I go back in time and see how things led me to that program or how things led me to a specific business, it was like a very minor and small talks that I had with someone. Yeah. Or sometimes, starting with the United Nations, by the way, was because a friend asked me if I can leave my, life for 2-3 days and go help in Egypt with a conference. And I said, yes, I can go. and yeah, it wasn't easy for me, to go and to leave my work, and it wasn't a paid something. It was just, covering the travel expenses.
Yeah.
But because of that decision, because of that, yes, I went again to Jordan for another conference, and then I saw the opportunity of joining the United Nations, and then I did it. It was like in 2015, maybe. So that, yes, that I didn't know why am I doing that. It was just another opportunity that I wanted to help, and at the same time to see where, it was, for me, it is a mystery always. What is behind the wall, or what is behind the door? This is a great question. So there, the professional fellowship was amazing on all levels. Unfortunately, I couldn't go and do it in person and see people. I mean, all the people that I saw, it was like maybe 100, 200 connections, all virtual. I never have the chance yet to see the full version of the people that I met, but hopefully very soon. But I really made a lot of connections, and I felt that I was, my journey was a great value in that program, because I was bringing all my experience. So I was always asking all the fellows to share their experience. So they always ask, what do you want to do in this session? Please share your experience, because for me, it's more important than any PhD that you can do.
Mm. So much in what you just said is so important. One, the micro actions that we take on a day-to-day basis in business are actually the ones that end up creating big results in the long term. And we're often looking for like the big thing that's going to create the big success, but it's really about these little micro decisions and actions and connections. And then also what you were saying about the UN thing is, I think it's always those experiences that we go into without an agenda that end up opening up doors, right? When we go in with like an agenda of wanting to get something back from it, that's rarely where we get a flow of opportunities or whatever. So I'm really happy, Augustine, to ask that question, because there's a lot of great stuff in that. Okay, we have Mujini, who asked, hello, I heard Jack was at one point out the job for about 4 months. What was his biggest challenge? And I request that he clarifies on what made him go into social enterprise. Hang on, let me reread the question. Oh, you were out of a job for about 4 months.
Oh, yeah.
What was the biggest challenge when you were out of a job for 4 months? And if you can clarify what made you go into social enterprise, I guess social entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So yeah, the first part is actually the greatest challenge was that I got some, when I left the job, I got my salary and the bonuses that I had. And I said, okay, I'm gonna just, try to live with this amount for a couple of months. Yeah. And then I suddenly had a very big car accident. And I had to spend all the money to fix it wasn't my car, actually, my sister's car. And it was, my responsibility was, because when it's not my car, it was something very big for me, because I had to do it in few days, and I spent all the money to fix the car, and I was left without any money, and I had to pay a lot of stuff. So I started freelancing, like a lot of freelancing in graphic design. And I met a lot of people, like, many famous fashion designers that I know now. It was because of that time. I helped them do their, sketches and all this stuff. And many other freelancing stuff that I did, but by that time. So the focus on that 3-4 months was to have the peace of mind, and at the same time to get money. So I did it that way. The challenge was, I was afraid, I was totally afraid. It wasn't an easy part. For many people, it's okay, you're freelancing, it's amazing, you don't have the working hours, whatever, but not being in a secure position is struggling, especially with all the, I didn't have this mindset by that time. So I was always thinking, oh, I need a job, I have to go back to get a job, it's not the right thing to do, or all these stuff. Yeah, so that was the biggest challenge. And how did I made me go to social entrepreneur? Actually, I didn't know about the social enterprises, I think the terminology was not there yet. When I started thinking that I have two fields, I have the human parts, the community, the scouts, all the human part that I have, and I have the other part, which is entrepreneurship and business. And then when I've heard about the terminology the first time, I said that I feel like I'm a social entrepreneur since ever, because even in Scouts, I started a small project in the Scouts to bring money to go to the camp, and it was bringing money from a business idea just to make a social impact on the character building of and the mindset of the Scouts that I was responsible of. So I think the mix of the skills is bringing a lot of amazing opportunities. So this is where you decide to shift your business from focusing on profit to focusing on social impact. And by the way, here I would love to mention the United Nations Vision Sustainable Goals. You can just search for the Sustainable Goals. If you never worked with SDGs, it would be amazing to integrate SDGs in your life, in your business, in your idea, your organization. It would be great to lead you to success. It is really a great leader to success, focusing on the sustainable development goals.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can confirm this or relate to this, but there's a lot of the beginning journey in business, or even the moments in business that are hard and where we struggle, particularly financially, I feel are the moments when we are the most resourceful. Those are the moments when we are, like, I feel as entrepreneurs, we can really tap into our creativity to find solutions. There's a different energy. Obviously, we all, it'd be nice if we all built great success and we could keep, because with success and profit, we can keep creating more and more impact. But there is magic in those moments of contraction, or in those moments, like when you had the car accident. Obviously, it's not great you had a car accident, but something probably happened in that moment where you got really resourceful about how you could keep moving along your journey.
Yes, actually, it's the pressure that really makes you think out of the box and think quickly. It's like the same example can go for when many people, students or participants in the webinars, tell me that when I have my time to do something, a project or a design or whatever, I don't feel like I'm bringing all what I got. But when I have a short time and I'm under pressure, and it's the deadline is few hours, and in few hours, I feel like all the inspiration and all the capacity that I have is invested in this project. I think it's the same. So the pressure can make you really do amazing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a saying, I think, about that. It's like the diamonds, because they are done under a very high pressure.
Yes, right, exactly. No, there's definitely a lot of potential in moments of contraction like that. I agree. Great. Is there any other questions? Please don't be shy to unmute. I know it takes people a little while to warm up and unmute themselves. Feel free. We can take a couple more minutes. Are you okay for another 5 minutes, Jack?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So we have a few more minutes. Rose says, hello, Jack. Thank you for this amazing value live. I would love to ask 2 questions. Okay, Rose has 2 questions. While we're just finalizing some questions, I'm just going to launch the poll. You're going to see a little screen pop up, and there's just a few questions that you can answer for us, which would be great. Okay, Rose, do you want to unmute yourself? Or are you going to type them in? Okay, when do we know that it's the best time to build a team?
Well, it doesn't come like the right time or in one lot to create a team if you don't have the resources maybe, or the budget to do that in the beginning. And sometimes, even if you have the budget, you feel that you're not ready to bring the team. And yeah, that question is really genuine to ask yourself if it's the right time. Whenever you feel that you can delegate, and I know this is a really hard thing to do for entrepreneurs to delegate, because you are a perfectionist, you want to do things by your own your own way. You feel like you do it in few minutes while your team can make it in 3 days. I know all this stuff because for me, it was struggling and it was stressful. But whenever you start organizing your tasks, so for example, if you're trying to do some social media posts, you can keep doing the content, you can keep doing all this stuff, but for design, if you're already doing the design, you can bring someone to just do what you're doing in the beginning, and then you can ask them to be creative, to bring you more value, and not just doing what you want to do. So I think the best and safe way, if you need the safe way, is to start to delegate step by step what you're doing on every day to save time for other stuff. Because I've heard one successful entrepreneur in the States. I had a conversation. I forget her name, but she said something really, because I was asking, how do you manage your business? I mean, it's the worst part that I don't love managing my business. It's the worst part for me. So
Yeah.
she said that we're great at creating ideas, at innovating, but we're very bad in managing, and following up and all this stuff. Your mind cannot operate both. You cannot be systematic and at the same time be creative. So I think organizing it this way, like try to put some tasks that you can delegate. Even sometimes you can hire a part-time or freelancer, so you don't hire a full-time and don't have anything to delegate. You can start by that way. But the important thing is not to delegate and then don't get benefit of your empty time. You need to create new stuff, because we have to be always creating to create new opportunities, to bring new opportunities. So the right time is when you are ready to start delegating, and you can try it. I hired many people in the beginning and it wasn't the right choice. And yeah, it was like, I'm having more stress. I had to invest more time in doing the work again. Yeah, it wasn't that easy with the less experience that I had. I would love actually to, if you're struggling with knowing the right time or bringing the team, if you can share any questions with me on LinkedIn, I would be happy to, because it's about your journey, about your situation. It would make a lot of difference knowing all the situation.
Yeah. And also, delegating takes practice. It's like you need to warm up your muscle. So you need to start somewhere. And I love the idea of just like starting small and like practicing, because it's true, as a business owner, it's so hard to release control and like not hold everything. So I think that's really, really good advice. Okay, Rose has her second question. A lot of business speakers say never quit, but sometimes it's better to close this business and to start over with another, while other times it's better to review the strategies, the products, and refix. How can we be sure of taking the right decision? That's a really good question. When do we know when it's time to like stop or keep going?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Rose. These are amazing questions, because it is part of every journey, I believe. I didn't mention like two businesses that I started that I wouldn't call businesses, but it was like identities. It was based on things that were not realistic. One was I started a internet cafe while I was in the university with one of my friends. And it was like, I felt like I'm pushing something that I don't really believe in. Internet cafe, come on, people are coming. And then I started a small, office in that internet cafe to do websites. And okay, so I love doing websites. Why am I opening an internet cafe? So you can feel that. If you don't feel that, try to ask yourself more questions. Try to see if you're really, you have to love what you're doing. And it's not, again, the traditional way of saying that you have to love, to actually feel like you're bringing something to the world. You're doing something that you're enjoy doing. It's one of the tools that I bring in my personal leadership webinars. It's Ikigai, search for Ikigai. It's your purpose, finding your purpose is asking yourself what I'm good at, what I love doing, what I can be paid for, and what the world needs from me. All these questions can lead you to your purpose, to your passion. So I feel like if you have this purpose within your business, then you shouldn't be quitting your business. This is when you say never quit. So it's not never quit when you know that you're not, happy. Again, even if entrepreneurship and starting your own business is struggling, but there is a very beautiful part of it, which is something that you're doing. You're doing something for yourself. You're doing something the right way, your way. You're not being, obliged to follow what your boss is saying if he or she are wrong. So yeah, there is a very bright side of going alone with the entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship mindset. Yeah, so never quit is the journey, not the actual ideas. You have to quit some ideas, some tactics, some strategies. I mean, it's about trial and error. Many things are about trial and error. Never quit your journey. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if you can really like get out of the mental side of like overthinking and really just slow down and tune into like how it feels in your body, our body will tell us how something feels very often. So I think that helps. I just put a link in the chat. It's a Forbes article explaining a little bit what Ikigai is. It's a concept that I absolutely love. So yeah, if you guys want to go read up on it. All right, Rose says, you really spoke my mind. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to mail you. Okay.
By the way, talking about your body, I had another struggle. I don't remember the struggles because I tried to somehow shift it to an opportunity, but there were a lot of struggles. 4 years ago, I had a chronic pain in my hand, and I didn't know what's the problem. I saw many doctors. I did physio sessions. I did a surgery, and nothing worked. So I started learning about mind-body connection. I started doing more, morning walks. I started listening to more inspirational books and videos because I've learned from my doctors that there's no, in your scans, you have no problem with your hand. So I thought about focusing on my mind and trying to check. And I realized later that it was because of the stress of the traditional way of doing business in 2016, 17, and 18, going to the office and sitting there the whole day and dealing with the team like it's that hierarchy. Boss, can I go earlier to home today? Boss, can I do this? Can I do that? And I keep saying that I'm not your boss. I'm part of the team. You can leave whenever you want. And I keep saying this. And still, I feel like I'm that boss, although I had open space. I didn't have doors in my office. But again, I had this stress, I had this struggle. So it led me to a chronic pain. And I was all the day working on my laptop without taking a break to go to the gym, which was, by the way, in the next floor in my business. And I was, I registered, I subscribed, but I never went. I went once. Just because, I had this stress, I have to finish my job, I have to do better, I have to, it's something is not working, I need more money for it. Was all these questions that, now are like, doesn't make any sense to me. And then it was when I shifted my business from like the pandemic helped me, the crisis helped me, all the problems that the world has turned out to an opportunity, because going home, working from home, from the whole team and focusing on the team was the priority for me. So yeah, this is when your body tried to tell you something as well. So imagine like a chronic pain that no one was, understood what was it. Yeah. It was actually my body refusing the current state, the current situation.
Yes, I'm so happy you brought that up. I mean, obviously I'm an intuitive business advisor, so all of that stuff for me is so important. And I think that we need to bring more of that into our how we run our businesses, because yes, our body speaks to us all the time. And yeah, there's a lot of information in those moments where it's almost like our bodies slow us down for a reason, for us to pay attention to something. So I really love that you brought that up. It's a really good point. Yeah, well, if there's no other questions, I think we'll tie up the interview, but I'll just maybe leave a minute here if anyone else wants to pop back in. As always, if you're a new member, if you're not a member of ecomConnect and you're this is the first time you come to one of our events, The recording of this is going to be in our platform in ecomConnect.org. We would love to have you join us. Obviously, it's a really wonderful community. We have workshops and interviews and lots of events every week. And I'm actually just going to pop the link really quickly in the chat. Org. So we would love to have you over there. Jack, thank you so much. It was honestly such a pleasure to hear from you again and just to hear your story. I think we have your link in the event description, and you put your LinkedIn link in the chat, right? If anyone wants to reach out to you. Yes, I see it there. So I'm just going to put it back at the bottom so that everyone can have it really close. And yeah, it was just so great having you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for this opportunity, Elvira, and all the team. And thank you everyone for listening. And please reach out to me for any questions. I really love to share my experience and try to help in any way. And all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a really wonderful end of day wherever you are. And we'll see you guys in the community. Bye.